Habari, welcome again into this lesson. Today's lesson will be about dreadlock hairstyle. So as usual, open your blend file. So in here, I'll go to my reference, dreadlock reference. And first of all, as usual, we need to study it to see how the dreadlock are made. So as you can see, the nature of dreadlock are the curl with a lot of noise. So they are like this. And some strands are out. As you can see, this is a random curl with a lot of noise, and mostly the size of one dread to another, they are not even, but because it's a computer generated, most of our size of our dread will be even, but you can go deep and differentiate, randomize the size. But for starting, we'll have a uniform scale for every dread. You can see the size of this dread is not the same as this one or this one, but in most of our example will have the same scale throughout the dreads. So the approach will be the same. Let's go and creating. First of all, let's move this here, and they will use the same plane. I'll add a new hair, Shift A, curve, then I'll choose empty hair. This hair I'll name it to dreadlock hairstyle. And here in my clowner, I'll change this to dreadlock hairstyle, and then I'll go to scope and I'll add here. I'll switch back to asset browser, object mode. Then in here, the modifier panel, I'll add a new geometry. This geometry needs to be above the surface deform. I'll call it dreadlock hairstyle. And you see the name has been renamed even here. I'll enable fake user, and look for one reference to take into consideration, maybe this one. And after that, the first approach that we said is to duplicate. You can start to duplicate this guide. So Shift A will add, come to here, then come to generation, duplicate. You see, we'll duplicate to 100. Then another thing, we'll Shift A, will add noise. Come to deformation, then add Fuzz hair curve. The important thing that we need to make, because if we increase the distance here, you see at the tip they spread apart. So if we don't want them to spread apart, we need to switch off cumulative offset. So, and then we need to reduce the shape. We need this noise to start from the root. So we'll reduce it to 0.01. Then we can start with reducing the shape 0.01 and 0.01. Then we can decrease the distance. We only have in our curve here, we only have 10.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But if we need more noise, what we need to do is to resample this curve. Shift A, resample curve. Then we need to resample, let's say we add the number of points here. You see, this was 10, and let me reduce the distance. You see, with the distance of 0.03, but with 10, the noise is very smooth. But if we increase number of points on our sample node, you see, the noise start to be noticeable and it start to feel like a dreadlock. This is the step number 1. And even here on the duplicate node, we can reduce the radius. And even here, we can increase the noise or we can reduce. Here we can increase even more, but I think 50 or 60 is enough. And I'll increase the radius of duplicate just a little bit. This is a step number 1. Let's say Control A, then I'll link material. Then I'll duplicate Shift D, X, then dreadlock hairstyle will duplicate the node, dreadlock hairstyle -2. Then I'll enable fake use. The next approach I want is this one. We need to have the dreadlock that has some sort of spiral. So first of all, I'll remove this freeze. The same node we used here, this, even though it was a spiral, but feel like a dreadlock. So we'll do the same thing that we did here. So we'll see it had curl, hair curve. So in here, after duplicate, I look for curl. Even I can take this, the here where it is curl, hair curve. Here it is, drop it here. What we need to do is increase the frequency. You see the frequency, when the frequency increases, and then I can come here and copy the scale, the radius to 0.05. So the radius 0.07. Then after this, we can even reduce the frequency. I want them to be bigger. Yeah, this is now. Thereafter, we can add our nose. You see, there is some kind of spiral in here. It is a dreadlock, but it has a spiral effect, a curl effect in there. So there is a difference between this one and all a dreadlock, but this one has no spiral, has no curl in there, but this one has curl. So even here we can reduce the size, but be cautious when you reduce the size, it starts to be visible. And here you see it has no thickness. We can switch even thickness, and here we can increase the size, and here reduce radius. All these are approach on creating a dreadlock. Another approach that we have a lot of frizz. Here frizz, here frizz. So how do we create this frizz? So let me use this last one. To create frizz, what we need to do, insert some points top of this guide. So first of all, before the duplicate, maybe I'll duplicate this node. I'll reduce the number of sample later on. Then convert this curve into points. So I'll curve to point. You can come here to your curve, then curve operation, curve to points, then curve. Like you see, curve have been converted into points. Another thing, into this points we need to emit thumbline. So we shift A, come to instance on point. Then we'll add a primitive, go to curve, primitive, choose curve line. Yeah, then you can reduce its length. After adding this point, then this point, because automatically this point, it has only 2 points, the root and tip. So we will need to resample it again. Resample, or to resample maybe 2 points or 10 points. Then after resampling it, we need to add this noise, this frizz noise to this curve. So we'll copy this, then put here in between, then we'll replay it. We don't say anything. We need to realize this instance. Realize, search for realize instance. Yes. Then you need to add the length. Then you can even reduce. Also, and here let's disable primitive. Yes. Yes, we need to increase distance. Then we'll add join geometry. Join geometry here, then that'll be at the end. You see, now we have some flyway hair on top of our dreadlock. We can even play with this. I think five is enough. Then we can play with. You can even add here at the start number of points, because only we had 10 points. You can add number of points here. We'll have a lot of flyway here. Then if we see, and we'll decrease distance. Here the lens will determine the direction of your flyaway. Also, we can copy this setting. You can copy this and you can paste it in here. So here at the start, then you can change number of count. And another thing that I didn't talk about since this course, it's about curve profile. You see, curve has not been attached to UV. This is the mistake, but what we can do, we can go to into scope mode and select and come to your curve, snap to surface. Automatically, the freeze has smallest scale is too small compared to the actual hair. So what we're going to do, we need to let me come to my face, then we'll add a curve profile here. Shift A, curve, come to hair, then light, reset hair curve profile. Here after, you see the profile is so big, then you need to change. I usually use 0.01, and here at the beginning you need to add curve profile. The curve profile of the flyaway hair need to be changing here, but I know when we render it, it will apply. And in here I need it to be 0.1. Can change the distance it to be very small, then we can even increase. Very sample, not the sample 5 is enough. We can increase the points to have more points. Also in here we can apply the same. We need to add hair, then go to light, set hair curve profile 0.1, 0.01. Here it is 0.1. We need to pick 0.1. On the final render, we'll put it 0.01 because we want to see it, be seeing it. Then we'll leave it at 0.1. You see, even here we add a curve profile. Here, set here curve profile 0.1. So even here at the curl hairstyle, we need to add, then we'll paste, not, then we'll add. I don't know why the control copy does not work. Then 0.1, then I'll copy manual, then paste it here. Then lastly, I'll copy here, and here because it's a curl style, we leave it at 0.05. We need the diameter of the scale of the tip to be very small compared to the root. Another thing that on DreadLocks Hairstyle have not done, and the same setting can be applied on the braid hairstyle, is for us to add dreadlock accessories or dreadlock beds like this one. So I'll go into object mode, then Shift S cursor to select it, then I'll try to create cylinder. I need on 16, then I'll scale it down, Control A, I'll apply scale for both and rotation, and I want to put them into their collection. New collection, beads. I want to add these beads on top. This is the tip, this is the root. Mostly the accessories are on the tip. So how do we add this? The first thing, curved points, shift A, curved points. I said you come here, curve, then operation, curved points. I choose this one. Then you come to instance on point. Instance on point, I want to choose, let's say, this one we call bead. And then I'll go here, I'll go to outliner on dreadlock beads. I'll drop it here, and our instance, it's here. 0.1, you see, 0.25. It has been applied to all points of our curve, so we only want here on top. So what we're going to do is use a selection. So here in our selection, I look for selection, curve, grid, endpoint selection, then here selection, go here, start, and I found this is not working. So what we'll do here, before we change the curve into points, we need to trim this. Trim, so we'll use trim curve, and let me visualize it here. And I want to trim, you see, we want it on top here, so we trim from start up to here. Then if we visualize, it is here, but all points are being highlighted there. So what we are going to do in here, curved points, I'll reduce my points here to 1. So in here I'll remain with, you see there's 2, so if I put 0, I'll remain with some points. Then what if I reduce here, still they're there. What they have done, they are on top of each other. So if you have a better method, or if this is the bag can be fixed in on endpoint selection, so the endpoint selection is the best method on selecting the point, but it's not working here. I think the only method that way I am made with is to use this type of selection, and if you have a better method, you can let me know. So in here we'll connect this to, and we'll visualize. You see, here it is, and I can play with this. If you want to visualize this curve, it is here. Nine 15. So what I'll do, because I don't want to start playing start and end value anytime, so what I'll do is shift A, I'll add a value, constant value, then I'll put this number 0.915 there and put it there. Then in here I'll add a math, go to utilities, then come to math, then math. So math I want to connect here, then I want to add 0.015, then input it here. So now I'm remaining with one value. This one value I can control it. So this is how you add the beads into your dreadlock. You see, even from the distance, this one has more spiral compared to this one, or this one is more curl compared to this one. So you can even put it here. Then if you try to scalp it, maybe if you go to scalp, increase my brush, unfortunately it does not follow the shape because of this. You see this one, so we need to increase far away sample, yes, you see, when I increase them, I need to put 10. And for the beads, the thing that we need to play is with the rotation. So on curve points, on curve to points, we have a rotation here. We need to connect this rotation to the rotation of instance on point. See, now you see it's behaved with the rotation of our guide. So this is how you do it. Even in here, you can I can select this. And this will call Control J. So I can even copy this one. Copy, can go in here, then I can paste it here and connect this to this and this to join. You see, it's already updated, but I can choose different page 1, page 2. I can choose different, maybe disconnect, delete this one, then use, then geometry here. You see, it's already updated in here. So that was all about creating dreadlocks. On the next lesson, we start stylizing this different hairstyle into the actual 3D character. So see you in the next lesson.